Okay, so let's look at some math. We're borrowing $6 billion a day, our government, to pay off the interest on our debt. $6 billion, we're borrowing it mainly from the Chinese and Japanese in order to pay for the wars and the bailouts and the lockdowns. Now, the wars in Iraq and its aftermath cost us $8 trillion. $8 trillion. We spent $16 trillion on the lockdown. That's $24 trillion. Does anybody wonder why we don't have a middle class in this country anymore? So how do we get this money? Well, we're borrowing it as fast as we can from the Japanese and the Chinese, which is not a good thing. But the other thing is we're just printing it. Between 1900 and 2008, we printed $1 trillion. That was all of the money we printed in a century. Between 2008 and today, we've printed $10 trillion. 10 centuries worth of wealth to pay for bailouts and lockdowns. We're just printing money. And what happens to, how does that pay off? Through inflation. And inflation is a tax on the poor. Oh, Keith had his food stamp checks dropped to $25, and you try going shopping on $25. Oh, he's spending $25 on food. They got his food stamps to pay the inflation. His food bill has doubled over the past 2 years. And for basic foodstuffs like chicken, dairy, and milk, it's gone up 78%. We are starving American people, and we are cutting them off from the kind of aid that we should be giving, that we're instead spending on being the policemen of the world. We have 800 bases around the world now. We spend $880 billion a year on our military. We were supposed to get a peace dividend. After the Soviet Union collapsed, we were supposed to go from $6 billion to $2 billion. That was a peace dividend. And then we were going to spend the rest, bring it home, and build schools and infrastructure. Instead, we've made up a bunch of foreign enemies and different enemies and things that we got to do to spend more money. Instead of dropping it to 2, we raised it to 8.8. So that's where we are. This is what's happening. You know, if you go back to the beginning of our history, our founders made so many clear warnings against Americans getting involved in foreign wars, because they said trying to be an imperium abroad is going to destroy democracy at home. It is going to turn us into a garrison state, a national security state, and a surveillance state. The two are inconsistent. You cannot be an imperial nation abroad and a democracy at home. And John Quincy Adams really spoke for all of the framers when he said, America goes not abroad in search of monsters to destroy. It's something we cannot afford to do in our country. My grandfather, Joseph Kennedy, said, well, we need to build Fortress America. We need to arm ourselves to the teeth at home and make ourselves too expensive to conquer, and then build our economy, because the economy is the source of strength, not bullets and weapons. It's having a strong economy and a strong middle class.